All right, it's Monday. We're back.
It is Monday.
Call-ins, Booster Club, Florida State. A lot of stuff going on.
A lot of stuff.
I do want to say, Reed right now is driving with Millie. She's gone for 2 weeks. I'm at the house.
Millie?
And look, I'm in shambles right now. Can I be honest with you guys?
You can't leave for 2
Just
weeks
between
with the
us,
pup.
I'm in shambles. Obviously, Reed leaving is tough, and Millie leaving is just the icing on top of the cake. She's going down to a horse show, bringing both horses, which I will say, she has 2 horses, right? That's what she does for a living. She teaches and trains them and jumps them and things like that. She has one that's older that she's been running for a while named Banderas, but the other one is one we're training to sell, and his name's Sunday. And
Sunday?
I didn't understand. His father's name's Saturday.
Son of Saturday?
Son of Saturday, grandson of Friday, but we don't talk about
Friday afternoon.
Yeah, it's it.
Flaming Dragon Friday.
Yeah, I don't know if he's ready for that. But so, like in the horse world, I'm learning like how much money these animals can make you and stuff like that, how much they cost. And so I was talking with Reed, I was like, let's just say you got him, he was good. Like how much could you sell him for if he was good? She's like, well, $50,000 to $75,000. So the minute she said that, I know there's horses that go for way more than that, but the minute she said that, every time I go to the barn with her and I see Sunday, there's at least a minute of motivational speaking to him between me and the horse, like the horse whisperer, basically the Caesar Milan of
What do you
horse.
say to him?
So like I go to the barn, like Rita will be doing her thing, and the first 20 seconds is just me straight eye contact with the horse because I got to get us on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
We don't speak the same language. I'm a lot smarter than he is. All right, he can run and do stuff better than me, but I'm a lot smarter than he is in the long run. That's what counts. So for 20 seconds, I stare at the horse stares at me. Now we're on the same like interstellar, like we're in the same place with the bookshelf, the same dimension. And then I just start just absolutely dropping motivational dimes on him. Be like, listen, dog, you could have been glue, man. They could have glued you up.
That's
no,
motivating.
You're out here grinding.
That is motivating.
You're out here grinding. Look at this palace you're in. It's like, look, I need you, dog. You got the potential to be the greatest horse ever.
Ever?
Ever.
By what metric?
Mine. However much money you can make us. So every time I see him, I'm like, listen, give that extra effort. Why don't you go that extra mile? I always tell him, look, responsibility and accountability is what you do when people aren't looking.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And maybe one day you'll wake up and it'll be Monday.
Look, he does what I think he does. We may have a Monday, Tuesday. We may just start the whole week over.
Wow.
So we'll see. The horse world's absolutely nuts.
Wow. I want to see Blaine on a horse.
I do.
I want to see Blaine.
Don't see me ride. I ain't ride now.
You've never ridden a horse.
It's a lie.
Cap.
When have you ever rode a horse?
At Papa's.
When you were like 4, when they put you on, that doesn't count.
Was I alive then? I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
Was he alive or was it a horse?
Yeah, so, I
Pretty sure I was
drove.
breathing.
super
Pretty sure I was,
technical.
pretty sure I was conscious breathing and on a
We're getting
horse.
super technical here.
I don't know.
Papa used
what
to put
else.
me on his lap in the car, so I guess I drove when I was 3. Like, that makes a lot of sense.
It does. I was
Makes a lot.
physically on a horse.
And Helen Keller flew that plane.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
She did.
That's exactly-
She crashed it, but she flew it.
Yeah, and lived. Florida State's AD voices concern over the conference's lagging revenue in the ACC. Major League Baseball's pitch clock is already deciding games, and Portland's Dame Lillard drops a 71 piece with Cajun fries on the Rockets. I'm Jake Crane. It's Monday, but we can still get excited. It's Crane and Company. Florida State should join the SEC as fast as they possibly can for many reasons, but the most obvious being financial, then potential, followed by leverage and survival. Now, we all know that college football is heading for super conferences, and the ACC isn't going to be able to compete with the SEC and the Big Ten. And that's why, to me, it wasn't a huge shock when FSU athletic director Michael Alford voiced his unhappiness with the revenue model being used in the ACC as compared to the SEC and the Big Ten. To put it in perspective, there'll be at least $30 million behind the big dogs each year. And FSU feels that business model limits you in every area, mainly because it affects your war chest. Because there is no way to compete at the highest level of college football if your money isn't at the highest level of college football. That's why broke teams never win championships. Now, FSU also has leverage right now because they're back in the national spotlight, and they look to be a team that can make a playoff run in 2023. So like Hansel at the Male Model Awards, they're so hot right now, which makes them as enticing as ever to go after and raises that price. Now, there's also so much more growth potential in the SEC. You already have your arch rival in Florida, and I know Miami's in the ACC, but Florida we know is a big rival, already in the conference, and now your schedule will get beefed up significantly, leading to more primetime opportunities and tickets sold. Plus, not having to thread the needle or go undefeated to have a chance to make the playoff, especially when it expands to 12. Now, you'll also be able to recruit with an SEC logo, which instantly makes you one of the hottest biological chicks in the bar. Now, the final reason is survival. Because just like in Game of Thrones, when there's turnover in power, you want to align yourself with the big dogs. And you would much rather be in the conference with the Dragons in the SEC than with the Tullys over there in the ACC. And it's the best insurance possible when trying to navigate the changing sands of high-level college football. So go ahead, FSU. Call that U-Haul. Get ready to pack up. And oh yeah, go ahead and bring Miami while you're at it. I'm going to bring in David Cone, former Big Ten quarterback, current superhero that lies about his real identity, and my brother, who's still trying to find his real identity and maybe lying in other aspects, but also has a great beard.
But he rode a horse.
But he rode a horse when
Thank
he was
you.
3.
Thank you.
And that counts.
It does.
I almost said that backwards. But, David, look, I don't think you can make a good argument for not joining the SEC right now.
For
Like,
Florida State?
Well, for really anybody.
Well,
outside of the big...
The argument is to do it would cost $550 million.
Yeah, but you'd also make $800 billion in 3 years.
I
mean,
don't think that math is right.
Like, when you hear Michael Alford, he's like, look, all right, I'm not a stockbroker or financial advisor.
You're not.
But I do know that year after year, if we're $30 million behind the big dogs and where we want to be, because make no mistake, Florida State should be one of the top brands and is still, in my opinion, one of the top brands in college football. And as the ACC, I don't want to say dies, but as it kind of wilts compared to the Big Ten and the SEC, like I used the Game of Thrones reference, when there's a change in power, you want to be aligned with the big dogs. All of a sudden, they come and chop your head off in the village.
Well, look, it's simple. The ACC signed a bad deal. They signed a bad media rights deal. I think it was in 2016, something like that, for 20 years. You signed it for 20 years? You didn't think the national landscape in college football was going to change in 2 decades? I don't know if we'll have tackle football by the time this media rights deal expires.
True.
Now, another aspect of this is the lack of revenue sharing model. So Florida State is saying, look, we and Clemson combined bring in a quarter of the ACC's revenue, but combined we're getting paid 14% of the distribution, which, look, I mean, Vanderbilt has been getting, more than their share of distribution in the SEC for quite some time now. So another thing is the grant of rights. So even if Florida State were to leave, the ACC has worked out a situation in the contract where they are going to get the payouts from whatever TV deal Florida State gets. That's what makes this thing so complicated. And I don't think Michael Alford, the AD at Florida State, was there when this was signed. So he's coming in as someone who's like, wait, we could fall $90 million a year behind our arch rival, Florida, in Gainesville? That's not right. Like, we have no chance at survival and to be great. Now, a lot of people are pointing out that Florida State just had their first winning season in four years this past season. But keep in mind, this doesn't have to do with wins, losses, championships. It has to do with how many eyeballs you draw to the screen. And Florida State still averages over 3 million viewers a game, and I think they've hit over 4 million viewers 17 times since their last national championship in 2013.
So basically what you're telling me is Florida State has to fake its own death to get out of the ACC.
I don't know what they're going to have to do, but here's the most interesting part of this scenario. Who has the media rights deals with the ACC? It's ESPN. Who has the media rights deals with the SEC? It's ESPN.
Yeah.
So if you're ESPN, you're looking at this and you're thinking,
wait,
we're already getting the 4 million, the average of 3 million viewers for Florida State already. Why would we pay more in the SEC? This is what's interesting about the Big Ten coming into play. The Big Ten has been the conference that has proven to not care about geographical location when it comes to these teams, going and plucking UCLA and USC. Could they now, the Big Ten is in a situation where, okay, scheduling games with 2 Los Angeles schools when the rest of our schools are in the Midwest and the East Coast, that is a nightmare, especially for basketball, right? And for other sports that aren't football. Should we go ahead and aggressively pursue Oregon and Washington, which is what I'm hearing? Those are the 2 schools they really want to sort of fill out that West Coast initiative we've already created. Or could we go down now and make a play with our Fox and CBS backers at, say, a Florida State, Clemson, Miami, something like that, and get them out of the ESPN catalog?
Yeah, and again, we all know where we're heading. It's going to be ESPN Super Conference versus Fox Super Conference.
Our version of the AFC.
I wish,
NFC.
you know what I wish? I wish that conferences could, like, propose trades. You know? Like, it could just work back. Look, all right, Notre Dame, I know you're independent. The ACC is willing to let Florida State, like a 3-team trade, we'll let Florida State go to the SEC if we get Notre Dame from independent to the ACC. You're already here in basketball. Come on, I know you want Notre Dame in the Big Ten. I think they're a better fit in the Big Ten. I just want their ass in a conference at the end of the day. I'm sick of waiting on this. I'm sick of an 8 thinking they're a 6, thinking they're an 8. That's a story for another day. But Blaine, when you look at Florida State, I mean, think about this, because in my opinion, some of these other teams like Clemson, and then Miami, and you look around, all they need is one domino to fall. Once one team leaves, we've seen this before. Once one team leaves, everybody else is like, oh, okay, it's okay to do it, so here we go. Because I think if Florida State leaves, the ACC may be cooked. Because I think Miami's coming with them, because the SEC would love to have Florida, Florida State, and Miami. You already got Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, LSU. Imagine adding that, and then Clemson comes to make it South Carolina. This is where we're going. My question looking forward is, Blaine, is the ACC going to be able to survive losing Florida State if it happens because of that domino?
I don't know. It's just the ACC Pac-12 vibes are just screaming at me right now. The Pac-12 showed up, though, especially after last year. You didn't know what's going to go on in the conference of the Pac-12. Then they kind of bought out a little bit. First of all, the buyouts for Florida State's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
You're signing y'all.
And look, and I get it. You want to be a part of the national spotlight, but that also comes with coming to Saturday in the SEC and maybe getting your ass whooped every week, every other week. Thinking of Florida State before this, garbage. They've been before this year. They've been garbage. Obviously, you get Jordan Travis and these guys in
seasons. For a couple seasons.
I mean, yeah, for a couple. When's the last time Florida State was relevant?
Well, they won a national championship in the last decade, and during my lifetime, I've seen them win 2.
Well, after that national championship, when's the last time Florida State's been relevant?
That's what I've been saying.
It's been a while. Florida State's been down bad for a while, including Miami. I would give it some time. I would give it some time before I just jump ship and go, you have every piece this year lined up to where you can make a run. All right?
But they're not
I know teams that don't have a lot of money can't win championships, but there is those one-off years when you can get yourself a lot of money, like the TCUs. All right, TCU talent-wise, I mean, not even close to. I mean, I still don't understand how they beat Michigan or made it this far. They're basically the Vikings of college football, winning one-possession games. But you're Florida State, I'm just telling you, be wary of coming to the SEC. It's not all just fun and games over here. Just and that buy what, a $550 million?
Yeah, no, but it's a lot of buy. But what are you gonna do? Wait 20 years? The way college football is moving. If you are not at the forefront of it, or you are not just a Florida State is a huge national brand, so they can get away with it a lot longer than other places can and be okay. But what you for sure do not want to happen is to watch all the neighbors move out of the neighborhood and move up into a nice ivory tower, and you didn't make the move, and you're sitting there left holding the bag. Because what will end up happening is, let's say Clemson does leave. All right? Let's say Florida State says no, and the SEC says, all right, North Carolina, y'all want to come over here? We got South Carolina, whatever. I feel like Florida State can do well in the SEC. Nobody is going it's going to be cyclical. You see Georgia dominate. You see Alabama dominate. But the SEC is getting to a point now where it's so deep, it's going to be very, very tough for anybody to come in and just continue to dominate with a 9-game in-conference schedule. That's going to change a lot. Florida State is one of the few that I think can not only survive the SEC, but thrive in the SEC. The buyout's a lot, but I think over time, when you look at the amount of money that could be made from Florida State, I think it's the best thing for their brand. I think it's the best thing for their future.
Why wait this late, though? I just don't understand why wait this late.
What do you mean wait this late?
Well, if you're going to do it, well, why not make it a couple years before? Now wait till now. Well, why wait till now to make the move to the SEC?
Well, again, like I said, what are you going to do? Wait 20 years?
I mean, they signed a 20-year deal in 2016.
Yeah, I know, but why?
They didn't get-
Why? I mean,
Well, you don't get
you got to
to-
know the. I mean, you got to know the landscape, right?
You don't get a chance to go to Diagon Alley and run.
You got to
through
know the
brick
landscape.
thing
You got to know
anytime
how are you
want.
this blind to not know at some point the SEC was just going to be this dominant before you signed a 20-year million.
Well, see, here's the
20-year
problem. They're
deal.
one school in a conference. If Florida State was running the ACC, then you could solely blame Florida State. But Florida State is one of many schools in the conference. So they could have said, no, I don't like that. The other schools said, yeah, we're doing it. And you almost got to kind of do it because the SEC wasn't having open enrollment kind of like we're seeing now then. So it's changed. The way it works changes. The ESPN argument, I think, is fascinating to me because ESPN is already making the money. But if I'm ESPN, I'm looking at that as kind of like the Koch brothers on the campaign with Marty Huggins and Cam Brady. We can double the already doubled profits. We can triple the already tripled profits.
Well, if you're ESPN, you'd be doubling the overhead because you'd be paying more. But
you would, but
worry
think
is,
about the matchups. Like you talk about,
Yeah,
talk about
that
$4
too.
million to watch what? Florida State play Boston College.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get
imagine them playing Florida every year.
Well, look, they've opened up.
or not Florida every year, but
LSU
Tennessee.
this past year.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
No,
and they're going to play Florida every year because
for
it's
sure,
already a
for sure.
rival.
But like I don't know. To me, Florida State I think is one of the is a better fit in the SEC than Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Without
a doubt.
off the cuff.
Without
So,
a doubt.
all right, we got call-ins today. Make sure you get ready to call in. We're going to start taking those calls here in a little bit. I do want to say the number because I've got it memorized, and this is a game I like to play with myself. And it's 1-855-326. Oh, wait, 326. Put it up. 236. I always do 1-855.
Damn number.
236-3228. There you go, right there. Booster Club, it's Monday. What do we got?
All right, let's go to Brad David with a $5 donation. Appreciate it, Brad. He says, do you think Napier will last at Florida? Is it just concerning that two of his assistants just left for the NFL?
Yeah, no, I think Billy's going to be fine at Florida. It was always going to take more than 1 year because, Florida had what I call on-the-surface talent last year, which meant you have some starters that are pretty good. But when it comes down to depth, you're in the shallow end, buddy, and you lose games in the SEC by not having depth. You win them by having depth. I think Billy, with Anthony Richardson, that was undeveloped, I think they did try to turn him into too much of a pocket passer. I think he's got to get his guys in there. I know some guys just left, but I think Billy will be fine at Florida. Now, do I think Florida's going to win the East next year? No. Do I think it may be a 7-8 win season? Probably. If Florida gives him enough time, I think he's going to be fine. But what Florida can't do is fall into the trap of, oh, we should be dominant every single year. That should be the standard. But in reality, with a new coach, with what he took over, they're going to look at Florida State, who could have a big year, and say, oh, no, I want Hall cans. Why did I get a Rawhide Wallen? We want Hall cans again. We want it right now. It takes time. If they give Billy time, he's going to be fine. But speaking about time, if you got any time today, all right, you need to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use our code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, because new customers can place $5 on any pregame moneyline bet, anyone in the world, and get $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. All right, we've got college basketball, obviously just going nuts right now. The NHL going nuts right now, getting ready for some playoff hockey. We're going to talk about that. You need to go to the app, opt in, and place the same game parlay on any NBA game, because if it doesn't hit, you'll get a bonus bet back. How about that? That's a little double bonus action going for you. And if you live in a state where sports gambling isn't legal, write your senator, because that's ridiculous. Like, somebody explain to me how in the state of Georgia you can have the lottery, but you can't gamble on sports. That's like selling heroin and not selling syringes. What's going on, guys? Like, figure it out. Georgia's just a mess right now. They need Marty Huggins. What else is going on in the Booster Club?
All right, let's go to Texas Ed.
No.
Yes, ESPN was willing to add $20 million to add Texas/OU for a year. Says they can do the same thing for FSU.
Look, in the long run, they would make way more money with FSU in the SEC. Can you just imagine? Can you just imagine?
All right, let's go to Daniel R. He says, who would go where if the ACC got completely picked apart by Fox/ESPN or Big Ten/SEC?
Well, I mean, you'll have some go SEC. I mean, here's the thing. Cone said it. Geography's doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. So you can't look at this regionally. Really, you just can't. The obvious one's Clemson, SEC, Florida State, SEC, Miami, I think SEC. The real question is, what happens with your Boston colleges? Like what happens with Wake Forest? Mm-hmm. Like, what happens with those guys? Like, who would the Big Ten, Cone, just looking at, would Syracuse? Would the Big Ten say, hey, Syracuse, come
Probably.
over?
I mean, if you got Rutgers, you might go play at Syracuse. I think what we're going to have is we're going to have to draw a line between football and all of the other sports, right? And you've already kind of seen that, where someone like Notre Dame, a school like Notre Dame will play basketball in a different conference and then be independent in football. That, I think, is what we're going to have. And then the ultimate question is, how many teams do we want to have vie for a national championship? That really, to me, is the ultimate question here, because there are 65 Power 5 teams. But you could have a scenario, I mean, we have 130, universities across the country. It's proven to be too many schools to play for one national championship, right? It used to be enough that, Michigan could win the Big Ten and then go play in the Rose Bowl, and Alabama and Auburn could fight it out in the SEC and then go play in the Sugar Bowl, and that was enough. And then we wanted a unified national champion. Well, there's just too many programs to be able to do that. You look, how many professional teams do all the professional leagues have? Around 30, 30, 32, something like that, to play for one unified championship. So that's my thing, is 65 Power 5 schools too many? Are they going to cut down if we have two conferences like AFC, NFC, that's ESPN versus Fox, and the winner of those just play for a championship? I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I think you start by having a Power 5 national championship and a Group of 5 national championship.
That would help.
Most Group of 5 coaches want a Group of 5 national championship. There's a couple that we've seen that don't. In reality, I mean, your school's never going to get there. Again, broke teams don't win it. I don't know the way. Name a broke team that's ever won the national championship, at least in football. You're not going to find.
You used to have the Division I AA national championship.
Yep.
I saw Georgia Southern win 5 of them. Now, if the argument is, well, you know what, we make more money by being a Division I school that has no chance at winning the national championship, but we make more from our TV rights than being a whatever the next classification would be, 1 AA, and playing for championships. And you can't argue with that. Again, it's about the money. This is not about winning or losing. It's about the money. You're going to have some schools that are just going to make more money and have more losses, like when you go schedule Georgia.
Yeah, well, I wonder, Blaine, if we'll get to a point where when we get to super conferences, because when you add teams in a conference, you have to add regular season conference games. Like the SEC is going to go from 8 to 9 when they add Texas and Oklahoma. If you get to a point where we have 20, 22, 24 teams in a conference, you are probably, like we saw during COVID, going to play an all-conference schedule. So there is no more, we're going to play Tulane week 3. So the Group of 5 has to be able to do something. I think you are going to see not only a postseason split between the Power 5 and the Group of 5, but a regular season split between the Power 5 and the Group of 5. Because if I am playing in a conference with 24 teams, they're not going to add games. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that anymore because of safety. Even though I think that's a protocol that they pretend to care about. You're going to have a 12-game regular season conference schedule. There is no more cupcakes. There is no more Group of 5 teams. And then the Group of 5 is going to have to schedule the Group of 5. And they're going to end up being separate. That's where I kind of see it going.
I agree. Let's go to Alan E. He says, I've always heard South Carolina, Kentucky, Georgia, and Florida having a handshake deal to keep other in-states rivals out of the conference.
Yeah, look, we've seen things in the past. We've seen, between Michigan and Notre Dame. We've seen, the Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M only got in the SEC because of Florida. Like that's a legitimate thing that I've heard from somebody that I trust. Yeah, look, you want all the money, right? You want to be able to point and say, well, we live in the nice neighborhood, and you're over here, in downtown, just worrying about getting your car jacked. Like, yeah, I get it, but I don't look at it through that view because I'm not them. That's an individual way to look at it. I understand it. If you're Florida, I get not wanting Miami and Florida State to be able to come in here and have all the nice toys you have, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to get to a point where those individuals aren't going to be able to make the decisions anymore because they're not the ones that are handling the money. They're not the ones that are dealing with the high-level negotiations that really moves teams to other conferences. Because again, look, I wonder if we're going to get to a point where ticket sales are way down. You got USC in the Big Ten. I'm very interested to see where this goes. I just hope it doesn't ruin it.
And we just saw this with Texas A&M. They had a handshake deal. We want to be the only school in Texas in the SEC.
Yep.
How long did that last?
That's exactly right.
A couple seasons, and here comes Texas.
That's a great point. All right, Uno Mas.
Let's go to Patrick Fisher. He says the ACC can survive. It would be more for basketball than it would be for football.
Yeah, this is where I'll give you an example. 2 days ago, and I knew this was happening, but it really didn't hit me. I'm like, wait a minute. Texas and Oklahoma are going to the SEC, which means that Oklahoma's softball team is going to be in the SEC. Which is nuts. Because you think football first, right? Most people, 99% of people think football first. But then you start looking at the basketball angle at it. Then you start looking at the baseball angle at it. I don't like when teams in major sports are in different conferences. Like Notre Dame being in the ACC in basketball, but being independent in football is stupid. I'll say it. It's stupid. And it's way too complicated. I feel like if I'm a conference and you're coming to my conference, the whole squad's coming to the conference. All right, not just the football team. It's like the guy who you say, all right, I'm throwing a party in my house. Guys, y'all can come over, but you have to bring a girl.
Mm-hmm.
All right? The guys that didn't bring a girl, you're not coming in.
Well, at least with college basketball, they can play 40 games in a season, right? Mm-hmm. They can play more games and identify a true conference championship and even have a conference tournament at the end of the season, no matter how big mega conferences get, and still go to the March Madness NCAA National Championship and have it out with 68 schools, some Big East programs that don't even have a football team, Gonzaga out west. Everybody can battle it out on the court because you can play more games. In football, like you said, you just cannot schedule more than 15 to 16 to 17 football games in a given season. So at some point, it's like if we're having the same conversations at the time when we're talking about expanding the college football playoff, talking about doing away with divisions in the conference. How are we going to have a 20 to 22 to 25 team conference at the same time that we don't have divisions in that conference? Maybe we see divisions added back in if more teams are going to be added. That's why I don't understand, because you're going to risk not having a true conference champion in football.
Yeah, it's that you're going to have teams that and you already have that now, teams that don't play each other, but you're going to have 1,000 tiebreakers. Where it gets wonky is what happens if Gonzaga goes to the Pac-12? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden now football, y'all better figure it out very, very quickly. That's where it gets like Villanova, right? All right, I know there's we have conferences that don't even exist in football, like the Big East. Okay, it doesn't work. To me, I think you have to take all the teams. It just makes it easier. And some of these conferences and some of these teams need to wake up. And a great way to wake up is a little bit of Black Rifle coffee. Do it every single morning. Coffee is part of my routine. All right, a lot of people out there, most people I think drink coffee. I know some people that don't. But it's a huge part of the routine. Even if you're like me and caffeine probably doesn't do anything to you anymore because you've drank so much of it, to me it's just an action. It's like a placebo effect. But if you want good tasting, truly American coffee, you need to go to Black Rifle. All right, because life is too short to be drinking bad coffee. We all know that. Head over to blackriflecoffee.com. Use our promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, at checkout for 10% off your purchase and first coffee club order. That's blackriflecoffee.com. Use our promo code BOOSTER, get that 10%. You can also find Black Rifle Coffee in grocery and convenience stores near you. How convenient is that? Black Rifle Coffee, America's coffee. Get some. What do you got over there?
I got Lava Panther. And that is a panther surfing on lava at the base of a volcano.
He survived. True story. Him and Cocaine Bear.
The panther who lived.
Yes. Make me the boy. What do you got?
Power Llama. It's a llama with guns. With great coffee.
Power Llama, fight me.
Yeah,
head over to blackriflecoffee.com. Use that promo code BOOSTER. All right, let's get into a little college basketball, David. We're getting close to March.
Man, this was the craziest weekend of college basketball since that one weekend last spring when, 9 of the top 25 lost or something like that. I mean, we had Arizona State at a buzzer beater to beat Arizona. Florida State coming back from 25 down against Miami. Iowa, Michigan State. I couldn't even keep up with what that game was doing.
What a cover.
So where do you want to start?
Well, Iowa and Michigan State scored 33 points in 90 seconds. Good Lord, Iowa didn't score 33 points the whole year in football. Great, I love it. This is why I loved college basketball for weekends like that. Had that March feel, didn't it?
It did.
This weekend had that March. Even Michigan three-pointer at the buzzer had a -6. Ooh.
Let's go.
Bred me up.
Ooh.
Hunter Dickinson. Ooh.
Ashley Schaefer, BMW.
Woo. Best Dickinson since Emily. Now, look, let's bring up the Arizona State one. That's right, because the greatest irony of this Arizona State play is the guy who hit this is Devin Cambridge's little brother, who couldn't hit water if he fell out into the ocean out of a helicopter. Let's go ahead and play this. Arizona State down 1, 2.9 seconds. Arizona at the free throw line. Let's let it play.
Watch out for the baseball pass if you're Arizona. Butler makes it. 2-point lead.
Here we
3
go.
seconds left. No timeouts.
Woo!
We're not going to get his hand in his face or anything.
Somebody a foul? But, I mean, can we maybe get a little bit closer, maybe make it a little bit tougher? These guys are really good. All right? These guys are really, really good. Heck, I see drunk college kids make half-court shots for $10,000 on the reg every single weekend. But that was an amazing finish. The Florida State game as well, David.
I mean, the Florida State game, because I was looking at this at one point, it was like 50-25 or 50-27 or something like that. Then I'm looking up and I'm like, Florida State got to within 9 at one point in my. Then Florida State got to within 6. Then all of a sudden they took the lead by 1. Then Miami retakes the lead again. And then Miami hits a big time, I think it was a big time 3 to go up by 2. Florida State comes back down, hits another 3 to win the game. It was insane.
Yeah, and Matthew Cleveland's 100% NBA player.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was just it was a great weekend of basketball all around.
The Iowa game, I still can't get over.
had a -5.
-5.5. -5.5.
Did you really?
They won by 6.
Blame
They
was
might
over
have
the
hit.
house.
I think
We
they
flipped
hit
it back.
10
You remember
threes
that?
in a row.
We had quit on it. Blame was over the house.
You quit on it.
Oh, no,
yeah.
we had quit on it. Why would you not quit
Yeah.
on it?
They scored 21 points in 90 seconds.
No, it was 33. I think it was
insane.
33 points. They outscored Michigan State 23-10 in the last 90 seconds.
Man, that
33
just
points.
goes to show you, these rivalry games, especially Arizona State, Miami, FSU, like you would look at that and say that's a really bad loss for Miami, who's been playing so well, had a win, an impressive win streak, to lose to a Florida State team that's unimpressive. But these rivalry games, you never know.
I'm gonna say something. That loss for Miami is gonna help them make the Final Four.
I agree. I knew you would say that
Final
too.
Four.
To kind of center them a little bit.
Sometimes, and I love winning more than everything but one thing. And Miami's been not only playing well, but dominating at home, on the road. Really without a big, they got up on Florida State. They jumped them out of the gate. I'm talking about they walked around the corner and caught one right to the jaw. And then it's like they relaxed a little bit. Now, at some point, Miami is going to be put in a timeout and say, hey, guys, the minute you think about relaxing or the minute you think we've won it, we can get beat by Miami basketball all year. I mean, woo!
So North Carolina, quickly, because they're on the court tonight. And as bad as North Carolina has been this season, they have Florida State on the road tonight. Then they end at home against their arch rival, Duke. If they go 2-0 in those 2 games, they'll win 20 games this season.
Yeah, they'll be in. I do, before we get to North Carolina, because I've got the on the bubble right here, I want to update people. I want to give a shout out to Jeff Capel in Pittsburgh. You want to talk about a guy and a team that is a total renovation on what I've seen over the past couple years for Jeff Capel. Because if you look at Jeff Capel's career, we know he's a big-time assistant, thought he was next up, struggled a little bit early, but they have broken through this year. If you watch, I know a lot of people probably don't watch Pittsburgh play college basketball. They're a very, very fun team to watch, but they're also very, very well coached. I just want to give a shout out to Jeff Capel. I love seeing
So
him coach.
update us on
Here's
the
what
bubble
we got.
real quick.
So the last 4 byes right now, okay, in the tournament, Pittsburgh, Nevada, Memphis, West Virginia, okay?
Okay.
That means that you wouldn't be in the first play. You wouldn't have to play your way in, like for example. All right, which is crazy because Pittsburgh's second in the ACC. We got to talk about net. These net rankings are ridiculous because once you get like a good conference, like nobody else can move. Like the Big 12. All these teams are all ranked, they're all playing, so when they lose, they don't move down a lot. So it's like stuck here. Like everything's stuck. So if you're the ACC, I'm looking at the ACC, like what the hell's going on? It's a really good basketball conference. Like it's not what it's been, but I digress. The way that we do the net is stupid. The last 4 in, Oklahoma State, USC, Wisconsin, Mississippi State. Chris Jans can make the tournament early in his career, year 1, I believe. First 4 out, Penn State, Utah State, North Carolina, and Charleston. Next 4 out, Texas Tech, Clemson, which it shocks me Clemson's on the next 4 out. It goes back to that ACC thing. Michigan and New Mexico. How huge was that win for Michigan?
See, and that's interesting because you said Wisconsin right now is the last 4 in, and Michigan is the next 4 out. right? Well, Michigan just beat Wisconsin at home. They have a better overall record and a much better Big Ten record. Michigan's 11-7 in the Big Ten. Wisconsin is now 8-10. So I don't know. Look, you have to wait until the conference champion or the conference tournaments are done playing because you're going to get your automatic qualifiers then. But this thing it always comes down to the stretch.
It always somebody's gonna get in that people didn't think should get in. Somebody's not gonna get in that people thought should have gotten in. So we got some great matchups again this weekend. I do want to say, had a lot of people hit me up about Auburn, asked about Auburn, should they make the NCAA tournament? Right now, they've got some work to do, but it looks like they will. But they're just going to go in there and probably lose in the first or second round. That performance against Kentucky,
that was bad,
was awful. And you know what? Sometimes shots aren't falling. Sometimes other teams shoot well, but that Auburn team just didn't compete. Right? And that's the problem, I think, with this roster. I think you got a lot of guys that look to somebody else to go out there and get the bag. And you really don't have that true alpha. Wendell Green tries, he's just not consistent enough as a scorer. Jalen Williams has had a great year. He would be a great role player. He would be a fantastic role player on a good team. Bruce Pearl, they missed on some young guys, but really for 2 years in a row. Guys haven't progressed. Anytime you're out there and you're Auburn, like look at Auburn, Alabama. You're playing Chris Moore and Lior Berman. Look at Bama. Look who's coming off Bama's bench like that. And I always laugh with this Alabama-Auburn rivalry in basketball because Alabama fans hate Bruce Pearl, but they should be thanking Bruce Pearl. Alabama fans should every day wake up in the morning and thank Bruce Pearl for making them take basketball seriously. Mm-hmm. Auburn making the Final Four made Alabama take basketball seriously. And I don't think that's arguable. I think now there's some diehard fans that have always been fans of Alabama basketball, but they didn't start taking seriously until Auburn started having success. But it's just, Auburn's got to get back to being scrappy and competing. Because these guys right now, this ain't it. That was not. And look, Kentucky shot as good as they're going to shoot. Kentucky is playing better. I do want to give Cal credit, but Bruce Pearl and Auburn, you got to get better players in there, and they got to play harder. And he knows that. Nobody knows that better than Bruce. Blanye.
Yes. Cody Nason 95. Let's go. So ASU and Michigan are both bubble teams, but sorry, Cone. ASU blew out Michigan earlier in the season, which might be the difference. Yeah,
well, look, Michigan throughout most of the season, we wouldn't have even been having this conversation. They have not looked like a tournament team. It's only down the stretch here late they've won some of these bigger games. And again, the time is now, right? The time is now. We talked about this with North Carolina. North Carolina looking like they weren't going to make the tournament. What do? They go and beat Virginia, right? They have a chance to beat Duke. They have a chance to beat some ranked teams down the stretch here. So every March is fascinating to me.
All right, let's go to Brendan. Hey, what's up, Brendan? He says, UNC had a big win. Can they keep the momentum going and make a push into the tourney?
Yeah, look, I think they're in.
Beat Duke.
I think they win one more game during the regular season because I think they'll win one or two in the ACC tournament. I think they're in. I think as well, being North Carolina helps. Let's not act like it doesn't help. I'm saying it's going to be the thing that pushes them over the edge, but we're not talking about, Northern Iowa over here. Yeah, we're talking about North Carolina. They want North Carolina in that tournament. Yeah. You want to talk about eyeballs? They want, because they can get hot. Remember North Carolina last year? They weren't thought of as a team that's going to go in there and win the national championship last year. Snuck their way all the way to the national championship game.
All right, let's go to Cody at W=V. A lot of people don't watch Pitt. Always thought they were the more popular of the college basketball teams. I haven't seen Pitt play a basketball game all year.
Yeah, I remember Pitt when Kevin Stallings was there, when he left Vanderbilt, and Jamie Dixon was there. Like, I've been watching Pitt basketball, but Pitt and Texas A&M this year almost marry each other. They're both at the top of the conference, but nobody's really talking about them. Nobody's really watching them because it's not Pittsburgh's a lot more fun to watch than A&M in the style that they play. But they're both super scrappy, right? They're both super scrappy. Pittsburgh's, like I said, offensively, they're better than A&M, but they're similar. They're both second in the conference right now with really good records, but nobody's talking about them, which, you know what? I think Jeff Capel and I think Buzz Williams over there in Texas A&M probably like it that way. They don't want everybody sitting there looking saying, you guys are going to go to the Sweet 16. Holy hell, Pitt's going to go to the Elite Eight. No, just under the radar. Just sneak. It's like that dream Mr. Cheezel had. I was a deer, and then I was moving through the grass, and I became a snake, which meant good things are coming. Good things are coming.
Sounds like it's going to Texas Ed. He says if Tech wins the last two games and makes the final of the Big 12 tourney, they are in.
Texas Tech?
Yep.
Well, I got to see who they got the last 2 games. I mean, you're on the next 4
It's
out.
not gonna be good.
That's the best part about being in the Big 12. That's
They
what I
almost
just
won.
said.
God.
Like
that was another great game.
Yeah.
this weekend.
Yeah.
Texas Tech.
I thought they
TCU.
had it, man. I really did.
Look, TCU,
They had
too, I'm
them
telling
scrappy
you.
group.
Healthy TCU with Lampkin, Miles, and some of the guys. I said this earlier in the year. Don't be shocked if TCU makes a run in the NCAA tournament.
They're really good.
They got all the pieces. All right, one more.
Ty Reese with a $2 donation. Appreciate it, Ty. Says,
Love your
interviewing
acting.
Mark Richt today. Any question ideas?
He's talking to Mark Richt?
Yeah, he's talking to old Richty.
Just from a question standpoint, I think I always love talking with head coaches about structure because I don't think we talk about it enough, and roster management. You talk about, offensively, well, the RPOs are in the game now. Defensively, am I going to blitz this much? But a lot of people don't talk about, they talk about what goes on in the house, but they don't talk about how to build the house. Like, all we talk about in the NFL is roster management. You want to know why? Because there's no recruiting. Because in reality, recruiting really is roster management. We don't talk about it in that way. But guys that are the most successful head coaches have 2 things. I'm talking about over time. They know how to hire and they know how to build. Because if you know how to build, you can figure out how to maintain. And the coaches that have the most success are the ones that know the blueprint, that know the structure, that can have success even as good players leave because they replace good players with good players that understand where they're at and how to do things. That's what I would ask him about.
I would ask Mark Richt, is he satisfied with his signing of Matt Stafford in 2006?
Oh, I thought
quarterback position rather than David Cohn. And just see what he says, just to throw it out.
Well, rumor has it he's not.
Really? You
Rumor
heard
has
that?
it every night before he goes to sleep, he thinks if I would have just taken David Cohn over a goofy ass Matt, then we could have won the Natty before Kirby did.
I heard he didn't say that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's, But you know what? You can
That was
say it.
pretty good.
You can
college.
say. You can
Still
say it.
is.
Yeah, he won
Yeah.
the Super Bowl.
And you get to ask questions because we are taking calls at 1-855-326-236-3228.
There we go.
That's 1-855-236-3228.
3228.
Straight off of memory. I can do it backwards. 8223-632-5581.
Where's the first call coming in from today?
I'm going to guess the first call is coming in from, I'm going Michigan.
You going Michigan?
I'm going Michigan.
What do you say, Blanier?
I'm getting Midwest vibes.
Don't Dr. Strange count.
I'm getting Midwest vibes. God, why does this scream Iowa to me?
Iowa.
You're screaming Iowa?
Screaming Iowa.
By the way,
Go
did
Texas.
you see? Hey,
Go
we
Texas.
can't just talk about Iowa men's basketball. Caitlin Clark hit a buzzer beater against Indiana at home the next day.
I heard that.
I don't know what sorcerer was in
She's
Iowa's
nice.
basketball
She's nice.
arena. Oh,
She's
Caitlin
nice.
Clark is a bucket.
Yeah,
Just a walking bucket. And she'll let you know, too. You know
I
what
think
I'm saying?
Utah women's won their first Pac-12 championship.
Utah women?
Yeah.
Shout out Sister Riggs.
Let's go.
Let's
How about
go.
that? In your face.
In your face.
Urban
Man.
Meyer, in your face.
Yeah. Total facial, LaFleur. Total facial. All right, let's get to rapid fire real quick.
All right, let's do it. I have a button for that.
Wow.
Major League Baseball's new pitch clock has already decided the outcome of a game. Hit me with your thoughts.
Okay. I like the pitch clock. I like it. Okay? Still struggling to really understand how this is the batter's fault. But here's my thing. At first, I was like, you know what? Spring training, they're never going to decide a game like a World Series on a, delay a game, basically.
Don't
This is
you
like
put it past
ending.
them.
This is like ending a football game on a delay game. But then I got to thinking, well, last 2 Super Bowls have been decided by a tiny tug. Who knows? All these umpires, and CB Buckner won't even shake the head coach's hand. All these umpires and refs thinks the game about them anyway. What's going to stop them? What's going to stop them? Because I'm on the opposite side of the ref debate. Y'all can kiss their ass, and Gene Steratore and Mike Pereira, and y'all can laugh and giggle when they mess up. I'm against them. All right, I was against them when I'm coaching. I'm taking a stand now. All right? They're the most privileged. Y'all think there's white privilege? No, it's called ref privilege. That's what it is. No accountability. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You could shoot somebody in the middle of the street. If you tell the cops you're a ref, they'll look at you and say, oh, well, it was a bang-bang play. It was the hardest job ever. It's harder than being a coal miner or an astronaut. But here's what I'll say. There should be no pitch clock in the 9th inning. Shouldn't be one in the 9th inning. Pretty easy fix, right?
This is the best thing that could have happened.
Oh,
right
for
here
sure.
in preseason for
For
Major
sure.
League Baseball to see this. Because clearly the people who make these decisions aren't thinking through all the possible scenarios that could happen.
Yeah.
Bases loaded, 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, full count.
I'm just surprised their answer isn't to make the pitch clock bigger. like the bases.
Yeah, that
because
would be
apparently it just
How much
fixes
time
stuff.
is on the pitch clock?
Okay, was it 15 seconds with no runners on, 20-second with runners on? Hold on, look it up. Look it up for me. Either way, why does it have anything to do with the batter? That's my question.
Well, because the batter can stall the pitcher a little.
No, here's the thing. Who has the ball in his hand? The pitcher, right? Just like who has the ball in football? The offense. You don't need players to be out there on defense. You can just run a play and score. The pitcher can just throw a strike.
Yeah.
Just have it be a strike down the middle.
Yeah, but the thing is, the umpire has to give them time. Like in football, they spot the ball. Once the ball's spotted, if there's no sub, the ref's off it, I can go. In baseball, if I step up to the plate, the pitcher can be ready. And I put my hand up like this, and I dig in, and I do my thing right here, and he's giving me time to do all this. That pitcher cannot throw.
That's how it used to be.
No. I got in trouble more times. Batter can still call time. I got in trouble more times when I was playing for literally getting up there and trying to pitch before the batter was ready. Like, I had more balls thrown back.
That's what I'm saying. That's how it used to be. Now you're going to be penalized if you don't pitch the ball in a certain amount of time. Yeah. You just throw a strike.
And see, this is the problem. This is the main problem with it. I think when you look at pace of play, and I've got the rule pulled up right here. I think when you look at pace of play, there is some room for a pitch clock. My thing is, I'm having a problem with when you have time for the batter and the pitcher, like that's going to struggle to sync up. Like, at least when they were giving you time, the pitcher knew, like, okay, he's calling time. Now here we go. I'm locked in and I'm waiting. Don't you just think there's a better way that we could go about it than having a game being able to be called over due to a delay of game? Like, regardless if it's annoying to the first 8 innings, I can see it. I can get why they're doing it, and it will speed up the game. But can you imagine? Can you just imagine? Not even just a World Series game. Everybody keeps talking about, oh, World Series game, World Series game. Can you imagine if it's a clinching playoff for a wild card or something like that? Or a wild card
I don't
game?
want to see it in preseason. And it made the game end in a tie. That's the second problem.
Without a doubt. I don't like it.
But so when the ball is set by referees in football, the version of that in baseball is the pitcher getting the ball back from the catcher. That's when the clock starts. Well, if you're not set on defense in football, when the offense is ready to run a play so they don't get called for delay a game, what do you have to do? You have to call a timeout. So maybe we need to make these timeouts that batters are calling more official. They've always been arbitrary, right? Oh, I want to call time here, and you're granted time by the umpire. Maybe that needs to be like 5. Maybe you get 5.
5? I like
or
that.
something.
I like that. Here's the rule. Major League Baseball has instituted a pitch clock for 2023 and beyond. The pitcher has 15 seconds to deliver the ball with the bases empty, or 20 seconds with the bases occupied. See, right there, it's already screwed up.
That's what I thought.
Like, that's already screwed up. Yeah, which is hilarious to me. You get the ball out, quicker out of the stretch. So I feel like that's backwards. Then it says a hitter must be in the box and facing the pitcher with no less than 8 seconds remaining. I know they got the clocks up there. That's just a lot going on, man.
Too much, man.
Like, God, that's a lot going on.
Too much. Look, you can change the rules all you want. People who don't like baseball aren't going to watch it. And they're not going to watch it.
Point.
You can keep changing, make the bases bigger, the gloves bigger, whatever you want to change. The people who don't like baseball are just not going to watch it.
No, I agree with that. But I want to say this too, all right, about the Savannah Bananas. Because I tweeted this out. All right, I get it's entertaining. I get that it's entertaining. They're selling out. It's from a money-making standpoint, it's brilliant. But it is bad for the game of baseball. And I tweeted that out. And people said, oh, what do you mean? They're like the Globetrotters. Comparing basketball and baseball in the game, the way it's played, is like comparing basketball and golf in the way that it's played. It's a totally different game, the way that baseball is played and conducted than basketball is. But those same people say, hey, why are you getting mad? This isn't real baseball. This isn't a real minor league team. And then those same people say, and it's great for baseball. What? Pick one. Pick one. You can't play both sides of the fence.
Look.
So, because here's why, though, David. They will sell these games, and kids will go see this, will watch. They'll go watch. Look, in the NBA, we see guys do crazy dunks, crazy shots and behind-the-back passes and stuff all the time, like the Globetrotters did. What I'm worried about is the generation of kids that because if it works for the Savannah Bananas, other people are going to do it. Like it's making money, other people are going to do it, right? A lot of people sell Diet Coke. So you're going to have generations of kids that go to the ballpark and watch this and think, this is baseball. This is how baseball should be played. And then they're going to take that and they're going to bring it to real baseball. And I would rather watch baseball crash and burn and me being one of 8 people that watch it than to turn on the TV and watch the Braves playing the Indians and watching that dumbass stuff from Pitch Perfect and Step Up 4. I would rather be one of the 9 people that watch baseball because that is not baseball. If you want to say it's not baseball and that's fine, I'm good with you on that. But don't on one hand say it's great for baseball and then it's not really baseball because that makes you look stupid. That's just the truth.
Well, I'm from Savannah, and we don't acknowledge them.
Yeah.
It's the Savannah Sand Gnats still to me.
It's like Dr. Evil said.
I should get a Savannah
Sand
That's what it was when I was growing. We need to get a Savannah Sand Gnats.
It's like Dr.
I'd
Evil
love to
said.
go to minor league. Do you have a minor league team here?
No, in Nashville?
Yeah.
Sounds.
Sounds. You hadn't heard about it?
Sounds.
No.
It's like that
They
blind.
make a lot of noise.
Did y'all see that blind football league? Did y'all see them? We need to run that
What's
clip.
that?
Huh?
What'd you call it?
There's a blind football league.
There's also soccer.
I thought it was okay.
No,
I only
there's
saw
blind
soccer
football.
one. I thought you were calling
No, there's
soccer
a blind
football. I was
football
about to
league.
strangle
There's a
you laughing
lacrosse
at that.
league where they let them fight,
That's how it should be in all
which
leagues.
got sent to me.
We're
with
worried
your
about
name
pitch
in it.
clocks in baseball. But you just let them fight. You want ratings? Let them fight.
Well, they do kind of.
No, they don't.
All right, rest of baseball here. Manny Machado looks like maybe you get an 11-year, $350 million
good.
extension.
Well, $350 million guaranteed.
Yeah. He's pretty
That's
good
like
at
the 4th highest ever.
The whole throne
Well, here-
hitting
look.
situation.
We're going to do this every year. The Padres, great roster. When does one of them get, suspended for 80 games because of butt cream or have to miss half the year because they broke
Ringworm cream.
broke their leg hang gliding? Like the Padres are good enough to win the World Series, okay? But they got to stop self-destructing. No more motorcycles. No more doing whatever you had to do to get that cream. I don't know. Look, I don't judge what people do in their own house, okay? Just don't shove it in my face.
Next one, NBA. Damian Lillard dropped 71 on the Houston Rockets.
The Lizard did it again.
How impressive is this, guys?
It's impressive. Well, anybody who plays against the Rockets is impressive. Like, no one scored more than, let me see. LeBron almost dropped a 50-piece. Giannis almost dropped a 50-piece. Luka almost dropped a 50-piece. If you play the Rockets and you're a star player, it's going to go good.
Yeah.
It's going to go. But Dame, man. at this
71,
point,
13
Dude,
threes.
if I'm Dame, get me out of here.
Is he a top 10 scorer of all time?
No, get me out of here. If I'm Dame, get me out of here.
Like, is he going to finish his career in Portland?
I think he is because I think he actually likes it there, which I don't understand. I really don't understand.
What do you think?
He must really like
Well,
graffiti and dudes dressed up like
You're gonna go
girls.
down as one of those guys who never win a championship. You're gonna be the Dan Marino of the NBA. You're not gonna win one. With the super teams that are getting made right now,
No.
you're not gonna win one. You just don't have enough.
You talk
Dame. If you put Dame on the Lakers, or you put Dame on the even the Bulls,
LeBron and Dame Lillard is a problem.
yeah. I mean, LeBron, Dame. Anthony Davis,
No,
if he can ever stay
no,
healthy.
don't even say that. Don't even
Don't
say
do that.
You might
He's
as well
still
say
an
that.
absolute tree, guys.
Well, he
Like,
can't play great.
so
Well,
are
you know what?
trees.
He is
They're
a
not
tree.
scoring.
He is
Trees
a
are
tree because he
trees.
just sits there and doesn't move.
You have pieces now, right? But I think even the Nets. You go to the Nets with the guys that have the
You
next
want to
couple
go through a
years.
rebuild? Damian Lillard's at the point where he has to go through.
I don't know. I think
Look.
Cam Thomas, you got Dinwiddie, like you got Ferris Finney-Smith, like you got pieces on there, and you add a star and you draft well.
Damian Lillard just seems like one of these guys who comes in, handles his business, does his job, doesn't create any drama, is loyal, has been loyal to Portland. I'm just wondering, is he going to go get a championship?
Look, why don't you come on down to New Orleans, dog?
Now, that's interesting.
Come on down to the Pelicans. By the way, did you see what Zion was wearing the other day? That outfit he was
I didn't.
wearing?
Zion
Oh my God,
smash.
He looked like he just... I can't even explain it.
Well,
What's the NBA? They all have terrible.
No.
taste.
Like, look, Kuzma, I think Kuzma's just, hung out at a darkness retreat for too long with Aaron Rodgers. The Zion one, like, I'm just trying to figure out who put that. It's like a yellow turtleneck underneath like a coat with a pants that looks like Indiana Jones stole them from somewhere. I can't explain it. I don't know how to explain it. I don't have the fashion lingo that's in The Devil Wears Prada. I don't know exactly how to say it, but I just know that ain't it.
That ain't it?
No.
All right, next one here. We have to talk about the Bruins, the goalie, Ullmark, hitting the empty netter at the end. Do we have this clip? I love when goalies score.
Yeah, let's go and let's pull this up. This is kind of like when the ugliest friend in your group gets to kiss a girl when he goes out. You just feel good for him. Doesn't happen a lot.
Is that what it's like?
Doesn't get a lot of chances, but when he got his chance to shoot his shot, he scored. Here we go. Here it is. Now, watch his shot. Go ahead and play it. We're having a look. There it is.
Besser's stick. Olmark is gonna try it.
Cash machine.
Good for him.
Like, look, I know it's the third period, but if I'm the goalie, I'm instantly fighting somebody.
Oh no, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Like I'm skating full speed and fighting somebody on the other team.
And while we're on Boston, Bruins are 45-8, boys. 45-8.
Yeah, it's a good situation in Boston, right?
All-time, most wins all time, 62 by the Red Wings and the Lightning.
And we trashed the Red Sox, and our boy Chili Jeff, I know, hates it. But when you look at the other sports in Boston right now, Bruins, hottest thing on ice. All right. Then you look at the Celtics, looks like they're going to be there. I mean, it's not a terrible time in Boston, even though I know they want the Red Sox to get it going.
All right, last one for rapid fire. You were showing me this, the Mississippi State fan who caught this baseball.
I think it was A&M.
Oh, was it A&M?
Yeah, I went back and looked. I think it was A&M. All right, this guy obviously played. You want to know how somebody played baseball? Let's go ahead and watch this. He catches a rocket barehanded. Let's go ahead and play it.
Baseball game. A&M. Watch the fan.
Woo! You'll see
it was A&M.
You'll see it.
Look, well, you gotta see it again. Okay. Watch
Right here.
Great
Slow it
shot
down.
here. Look at it. Watch this.
Third baseman, I bet.
Boom.
Yeah. Mitts. He saved that girl behind him. Because I'm telling you, that chick in the brown hair was about to take one off the beak.
Wow.
I mean, again, somebody.
Yeah, you're out here saving lives.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. My question is, all right, why do we got people sitting on that hill? Like, that wasn't like a ball that was hit really high that went over the net. I mean, you guys are over there playing with absolute fire. Like, the amount of balls that I've seen fouled off, line drive level, that could hit that hill, the fact that y'all aren't, somebody didn't just pull a Humpty Dumpty and just fall apart yet absolutely blows my mind.
Maybe that's why he's there.
Maybe it is.
Yeah.
The Ulrich Van Vacuumstein. You love to see it. All right. We got calls. Getting ready for
We
this.
got called. Oh, and the Jake Paul
Yes.
Tommy Fury fight.
Blaine,
You guys see any
go,
of
same
that?
thing.
Blaine, your boy Jake Paul caught an L, man.
Thought it was going to be me. Thought it was going to be me that had to be the one to take him down.
me.
All right, but you fight one kind of professional boxer, and you take an L. It's not surprising. The kid's a joke.
No,
Think about who he fought. Woodley's UFC fighter. He fought some dude who looks like he runs a garbage truck every 5 days. Like, can you fight one legit kid and you take a loss? But you want a bounce back match?
Look at him. Put him in the ring.
I had to get after it last
I will
night,
say this.
buddy.
I don't like Jake Paul. I don't. I think he's smart, made a lot of money. It's obviously worked out for him. I don't like him, but I thought the tweet he put out after he lost was very classy. I thought, because look, when you're building up fights, guys talk trash, right? That's how it works. There's not been one fight I've ever seen where guys were like, well, Alexander is just a guy that personally I love. Makes a great latte. Enjoys trail mix, the same kind I do.
Look, there's nothing
the white
like
chocolate
someone who
chip.
makes a great latte. Right?
Yeah, but
people.
I did like watching him get his ass beat. But can we be honest? In boxing, it's not a good fight unless somebody gets knocked out. And I know the boxing purists will be like, no, that's not what it's about. Look at Floyd Mayweather. I'm not watching you to not punch somebody else and fall down. You want to know why everybody watches World Star? Because people get knocked out. All right? It's not a good boxing match. In UFC, you can get choked out. I'm down with that. All right? I can see that. But in boxing, you should go till somebody gets knocked out. Now, I know careers will be very short, all right? But I don't want to watch a fight where nobody gets knocked out.
And this was a split decision, too.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather split my time doing something else.
I don't know who's the judge that gave it to Jake Paul. We might need to look. The old boy clearly won this fight. Jake
Yeah,
clearly
he's a better
lost it.
fighter.
Yeah. But Jake Paul's not a real fighter. He's
But,
not.
Look,
Who's
he's
he
worked-
fought?
Really up there fighting.
Who's he fought?
Guys.
Exactly.
He fought Tommy Fury,
Yeah.
Yeah.
whose brother, Rick Anger.
Yeah, exactly. He's fought nobody.
Sister Jessica
the entire
Piss.
time. But I wasn't paying money to watch that.
Yeah. Hell.
I was just looking at the highlights at the end of it. I was like, yes.
All right. You ready to jump on the phones, David?
You want to take some calls here?
Take some calls.
All right, let's see.
What did we
First
say? What
one
did we
up.
say first state, though? I said Michigan.
Dave said
Yeah.
Texas, but I feel like he can see.
I can see, but
Yeah.
you know what? I am an honest and fair judge. First call, Scott from Oregon.
Oregon. Would not have guessed that.
Oregon.
Would not have guessed that. Scotty's
Scott.
on fire.
What's up, man?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday.
Monday to you.
I want to talk about these stupid baseball rules.
Okay.
They are ruining my favorite game of all time. I mean, baseball makes you feel like a kid, and you can't move fielders for a defense. I mean, football. Let's take safeties out because, by God, they may stop a pass.
Yep.
This is ridiculous.
No, I'm with you.
Let the managers manage the game.
Yeah, the shift. You should be able to put players wherever you want to put players. Okay, like you said in football, you have a line of scrimmage, and you can move anybody. I can bring a safety down to blitz. I can bring a corner to blitz. I can drop a nose guard. I could drop them all the way up to the hot dog stand. But what do you think? Let me ask you this. Do you like any of the new rules that they've implemented? Any of them at all?
No, none. I don't like the pitch clock. I mean, baseball is baseball. You go back over 100 years, baseball it's a beautiful sport. You put me out on a nice grassy outfield, and I'm 18. You know, I'm roaming that outfield. I love it. I'm thinking about every single pitch. What's the batter going to do? These are professional players. You know, I mean, let them get ready. And think about the pitch clock. Okay, World Series. We're going to end the game because the batter was thinking about something?
No, it's like ending a football game on a delay a game. Like, it's like ending and saying, all right, delay a game, it's over.
Yeah, if they're going to do these rules, at least give the batter a warning. Say, hey, you know, warning, you're taking too long. We need to get in the box. I get it because some batters, you know, they'll take forever and a day. But at some point in time, these are professionals.
Yeah.
Don't play the game.
That's kind of how tennis does it. Tennis, Nadal is getting called for these delay games after they instituted the serve clock. But it's more or less like, hey, if you're around the vicinity of starting whenever the clock is at 0, then they'll be a little bit lenient. And you really have to go over it several times before you get a violation. So, but again, that should be on the pitcher to me, not the batter. Like, just throw a strike. If he's not in there, strike.
Well, you could streamline it. That's what you were saying earlier. Like, again, if you do take it out of the batter's hands and you put it on the pitcher. My thing is, Scott, I don't like that there's different times for guys on base, different times for the pitcher and the batter. There's just too much going on. Baseball is super analytical, but not in that way. Scott, we appreciate your call, man. I'm right there with you, but the sad part is, I think we're in the minority, brother, and these generations coming up, I don't think they like baseball the same way that me and you do.
I feel you, buddy.
All right, brother.
Thanks, Scott.
Scotty.
All right, let's go to Matt calling in from Alberta, Canada, which, if you didn't know, is this whole other country.
I thought it was right next to...
It's close by.
We protect our Scott.
It's close by. What's going on, Matt?
Oh, not a whole lot. A little chilly up here, but that's about it.
I'm not shocked.
So I've coached high school basketball for 7-8 years. I've also been a ref since I was about 18 years old. And first of all, you guys are absolutely right. It is a hard job because everybody hates you, but it is not difficult to call a fair game.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and here's my thing, Matt. What do we always say? I'm not expecting you to go out there and get 100% of calls, right? Even with replay. But if you're going to call the game a certain way, call it that way for both teams and call it for 9 innings, call it for 4 quarters, call it for 2 halves, call it for 3 periods. I don't care what sport it is. Just let me know as a player and let me know as a coach, which I know you know because you've seen both sides of it. Just let me know how it's going and I can adjust. As long as you give me a chance to adjust, but don't make me adjust and then adjust again. That's my biggest qualm. And look, there's referees that are great guys. I'm not saying they're bad people. I know referees that are really, really good guys. Well, one of my good friends growing up is now an official. But I just hate the way that we stigmatize it like these guys are the same ones who went and took out bin Laden. Like it's that hard. It's so impossibly hard that there should be no accountability or anything like that. I don't think that's asking too much.
No, and yeah, it looks different on the court than it does on TV, obviously, but you can be the greenest ref in the world, and if you're concerned with like calling a fair game, you're going to see the same things on both sides.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Matt, when you look across the sporting landscape and you're watching basketball, baseball, football, hockey, which sport do you think has the most consistent refereeing?
Ooh, I would probably have to say hockey. But
yeah, I agree with that.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, up here, people are hockey refs at like 15 years old for extra money, and there's probably a dime a dozen. So I don't know, it might be a supply and demand issue.
Yeah, well, I mean, I look at it at the highest level. I've really started paying attention to the NHL, and you don't hear, and I've been to games, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt. You guys up there in Canada obviously know a lot more about it. But I don't hear a ton of booing of officials or referees at hockey games.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear nearly as much as you do basketball.
No, it's definitely I would say pretty rare. In smaller time games, it can get a little intense, but
yeah. Well,
there's not too many games, I guess, you could pin on the reffing.
True, and that's the way it should be. Let the players play. Matt, stay warm up there, dog.
Thanks, Matt. All right, let's go to Sasha calling in from Austin, Texas. What's going on, Sasha?
Hey, guys. Good morning. A little bit in the trust tree here today. Got my AK espresso. And really appreciated the interview you guys did with Taylor Silverman over the weekend.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that. Got the Round Rock Classic that was played here in the area this weekend with LSU, K-State, Iowa, and Sam Houston. And K-State got swept, and LSU, Iowa, and Sam Houston each took 2 games. So I want to get y'all's take on these early season classic series and tournaments that are out and why we don't put more focus on them, and get a way too early College World Series prediction from you guys.
Well, first off, we've talked about LSU a lot. LSU, kind of unanimous #1 coming into last year.
Mm-hmm.
I want to answer this question, Sasha, in a answer that I gave somebody on Twitter who was like, "Hey man, are y'all not betting on college baseball yet? I haven't seen any college baseball bets. I need 3 to 4 weekends to see the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see who you're rolling out there on Friday, who you're rolling out there on Saturday, who you're rolling out there on Sunday. The hitting, you can identify, it does come and go, but early in the year, typically pitchers are ahead of hitters. Now, when you're dealing with aluminum bats, that can be a little bit different. But when we're talking about, College World Series, how am I not going to sit here and look at the SEC, right? I think you got to start with the SEC. How many teams can legitimately make Omaha from the Southeastern Conference? I think damn near all of them when you really look at it. But I was surprised if you look at Tennessee. I know they weren't at the Round Rock. I'm surprised to see the start that Tennessee's gotten off to. I think they're going to be fine. Like I said the other day, I think they would rather lose a couple early and make Omaha than go 31-1 and not make Omaha. But I tell you what, a couple teams that have kind of surprised me when I've looked around college baseball. UCF sweeping Clemson was huge. Did you see that? Did you see Sasha? Did you see UCF sweep Clemson and then go in the football stadium and run down the hill?
I did not.
Yeah, I don't know how they got in there, and Clemson fans are pissed, including the head coach. But UCF went and swept Clemson on the road. I think they're sneaky. I'm just going to default to the SEC. You look at Tennessee, you look at LSU, you look at Auburn. Ole Miss is going to be super competitive, which, by the way, they had a walk-off grand slam in a hell of a game. I think they ended up winning like 18-14 or something like that. But no, I think it starts and stops with the SEC, and then you look at the Big 12 and some of those teams. But I will say this. College baseball, if let's say you're not as enthralled with Major League Baseball, maybe you don't enjoy it that much, you need to flip over and watch a little college baseball because it's fun as hell.
I'm interested to see how Tennessee does if they're not the front runner this season.
Yeah.
There was so much pressure last year being 31-1 throughout a lot of the season. They couldn't make it out of the Super Regional. I think it was with Notre Dame. How do they respond now if someone like LSU, a team like LSU, becomes the front runner during the season?
Well, yeah, no, I'm with you. And Sasha, you brought up Iowa. I mean, they didn't just beat LSU. I mean, they dominated them when it comes down to it. So I always love, and I find it fascinating, watching some of these northern teams, the Big Ten teams in baseball, especially early, because a lot of these places, you can't go outside for a long time. They're playing indoors, and finally you see some live pitching. But you can see some sneaky teams. We've seen Notre Dame in the past. We've seen Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
As
Austin
well.
Vandy in that national championship.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I lived this, man. Some of my best friends at Michigan were on the baseball team, and it's tough for them in the off season to be able to practice the way that guys in the South are. Then you go down to Florida and have a couple of these exhibition matches before the season starts. It's always going to be an inherent disadvantage, just like it's kind of the other way around for hockey, right?
Yeah.
Like they get to.
There's no outdoor
hockey,
outdoor natural skating places in Florida.
No, or Savannah.
Yeah. Sasha, appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, and thanks for being in All Access every Thursday.
Sasha, yeah.
Appreciate it. And for those who don't know, we do All Access bonus hour at dailywire.com every Thursday at 12:30 Eastern.
You get all the access.
There we go. All right, Travis. Another one from Texas here. Travis calling in from San Antonio. Travis, what's going on?
Hey, guys, here's my question about something. Thank you for having me on the show, by the way.
For sure.
Thanks for calling, man.
here's the thing about baseball and all the changes that's been made lately. And I tend to agree that some of the changes have been, kind of silly and they don't make a lot of sense. But there's also been, as things have changed over the last couple of decades, with things like interleague play, with things like changes in the playoff structure, you've had some baseball purists who have really tried to hold on to the game. If those guys had won, if baseball had not changed at all, it'd be a really stagnant sport, and it needed some updating. What is the balance between changes that are necessary, but also not changing a classic game, a romantic game like baseball?
Yeah, it's a great question. I appreciate your call. This is the way I look at it. I think you have two different type of changes. You have league changes, then you have gameplay changes. It's one thing to say, you know what, with interleague play, we're going to do this. It's another thing to say you can't do the shift, right? Like in college football, it's one thing to say, all right, you can't play any more group of 5 teams. But it's another thing to say you can't do the QB sneak where you push the guy. Like, those are two totally different things. So when we're talking about the experience of baseball and the changes, I do think you can separate them into two categories. And I think it's smarter to do that when you look at things that are working, right? Like you say, okay, we added teams to the playoffs in baseball. Some baseball purists didn't like that. I did like that. I think it makes more competitive games, more teams get in, which means more markets are interesting. Now you don't have 170 teams like you do in college basketball. I don't want the college basketball tournament to go to 90 teams. You already have 68. But when you have 30, 32 professional teams, adding a couple teams to the playoffs, I think that was a good decision. What they did with the interleague play, I think it was a good decision. But I think we have to separate what goes on off the field and goes into the schedule as opposed to what happens in between those 9 innings between the first pitch and the last pitch. That's where, as a baseball purist, once you start getting into the gameplay, that's when I start getting worried. The stuff on the peripheral, like let's say the Rays are the DH rule, right? The DH rule. That's one of the gameplay rules that I like. I like that you now have a DH in both leagues. Some baseball purists hate it.
Here's the biggest problem for baseball, and I told Ben Shapiro this the last time he was in here and we were talking about baseball. Major League Baseball used to be the most popular sport in America. It used to be America's pastime, and now it's been eclipsed by football, and other sports are taking over a lot of that revenue, or that the demographic that baseball used to hold on to. That's a problem, because just like Blaine said, baseball is now having a situation where, okay, do we make changes to be able to get more eyeballs on the sport and grow the game and get some of those eyeballs back, or do we just sort of relax a little bit and say, hey, if you love baseball, then, we're not going to make any changes. This is just for the old school purists. In a way that golf doesn't have that problem. Like, golf can lean into its exclusivity. Golf can say, hey, we're trying to grow the game and that's all well and good, but they don't have to. They can say, if you're bored by watching golf and you don't get excited for Sunday at the Masters, then we're not for you anyway. And where baseball is kind of like, man, we kind of got to get that revenue back to the top, because we're paying guys $350 million guaranteed.
Got to find the right mix.
I call it the boob job rule. All right, and let me explain what I mean.
You call it that? I mean, you just came up with that?
Yeah. Well, now I call it that, because that just came up in my mind. You know how some females go in and get a boob job and it's like symmetrical to their body, right? And then some go in there and try and buy the biggest things they possibly can so people just look at them and they become a spectacle. I don't want baseball to go in there and buy the boobs that are so big it breaks their back. Just get some that fit you, walk around, and guess what? Now that she's able to run, and her back doesn't hurt, she's in the best shape of her life. All right, so there we go. You can take that one, Travis. How about that?
The boob job rule.
You just got to make it fun without just completely watering it down.
Yeah, write that
Travis,
one down.
make sure you write that one down.
Yeah.
All right, and you heard it here first. All right, thank you, Travis.
All right, buddy.
All right, let's go to Brendan. Brendan calling in from Washington. Brendan, which Washington?
State or
Washington State or
DC?
Hey, it's Washington State. How you boys doing?
Okay, good.
It's Washington State.
Good.
Come to my house to get my wife's name right.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were
Christina.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were coming from the river or the swamp.
Sorry about that, Brendan.
Oh no, never. I just wanted to ask you boys what you thought about the XFL and how they're handling these replays, and if that could have been beneficial in the Super Bowl with like Dallas Goedert and the Devontae Smith incident.
Brendan, we talked about this with Tom Luganville after the first weekend of the XFL, and I think one of the biggest positives that came out of it was the way they handle replay. Like, it's so easy, right? It's that easy. I don't need you to bring in Gene Steratore to lie to me or Mike Pereira to come in here and be 50% right. You know what I want? I want it to be expedited. I can see it. Y'all can see it. The referees, some people think the referee goes to that little box and he's like this. Yeah, we need to call it this. Yep, this is what happened. No, here's what he's doing. Hey, what do y'all think? Okay, you want me to call it that? Okay, cool. And the funny part is, they've shown it to us in the NFL and in college football during the bowls. The expedited review. Man, I was up clapping. I was giving a standing ovation. Standing ovation, expedited review. Like, all right, that's not a fumble. Oh, click, here we go. It's not a fumble. I want even more transparency. I want even more. If there's a replay where you got to go, I want to hear who you're talking to.
You want them to show their work.
I'm afraid they're going to be like, hey, guess what, Vegas?
I like it too, yeah.
Hey.
I like that too.
Yeah.
I feel like every time, like when Gene Tessitore or any of them, it's like one of those White House press briefings.
It's 100% a White House press.
It doesn't matter. They could be blatantly wrong, but they'll die on the Hill.
Yeah, he's like,
they'll die on the Hill. Doesn't matter. Well, you know, if this happens, 2 years ago, I made lasagna with fries one night, and that's not a catch.
Yeah. No, it is funny. It is funny because it hurts them so bad when they have to come on and say a ref's wrong when they're reviewing something. He's like, well, you know, man, it was a bang play. It was really close. And they're like, Genie overthrew him by 20 yards.
Yeah.
We
can land missiles.
He's like, I can
upside
totally
down and backwards,
see how
we don't know if Devontae Smith caught the pass.
Look, there was a reason.
I wish I had my own personal Gene Steratore in my relationship with Reed.
Yeah.
She'd be like, oh, you forgot to do the dishes? Be like, wait a minute, hold on, let's get Gene Steratore in here. Gene's like, well, you know, I can understand why he didn't do it. He was putting water in the dog bowl the minute you told him to do it. So it was close, it was tight, it was fast. I can understand it. Be like, thanks, Gene.
I love it.
Yeah.
And on the reviews, there's a reason in math class you had to show your work. You can't just write down the right answer. Why? Because you might be guessing or you might be cheating.
You might have cheated like I did on Brian Lee in my geometry quiz class.
I heard Brandon was smart, though.
No, Brian Lee.
Oh, Brian.
Yeah,
I've
I
never
made 60. Turns out he wasn't smart. And then I got called outside.
I've never cheated.
Look, you got to show your work. We want to see the work be shown.
Jade, show my work.
I'll never forget. I'll never forget. I cheated off Brian Lee and made a 60 and had like I tried to mix it up a little bit with him, and the teacher took me out in the hallway and was like, I know you cheat on this test. And I was like, no. No, show your work.
It's like you wrote Brian Lee on your paper.
And I got called to the principal's office, or the assistant principal's office, but he was our offensive coordinator in football. And we just sat down and talked about, we went to Disney World like 2 summers ago.
Did he
like,
say,
get back.
We're in the trust
just stay in here for a little while.
We're in the trust.
No, yeah, we just talked about
Can I say something? Can I say something without getting in trouble?
No, I don't know. No. I don't.
I think I
don't like when you preface stuff with that.
I might have allegedly, I might have cheated a little bit on the ACT.
You might have cheated a little bit. Blaine, that's not a secret. Everybody knows that.
They don't know that.
Even the guys that work
Booster Club doesn't know that.
Wow. You learned so much today.
Phillips.
Brendan, you learned so much today, man.
Yeah.
You learned so much today.
I just got one last thing for you, Cone. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs!
Yeah, go Cougs, Cone.
Go Cougs. I got no problem with that.
Yeah, Coug it up.
There's a couple of things.
Hey, anytime, brother. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. All right, that's it, boys.
Blaine take the ACT now.
No, why would I do that? I took it one time.
Blaine should retake the ACT.
25?
Jay, appreciate it. Miss Mason, love you. Hope you're doing well.
Wow. Dude. Wow. All the evidence we need right there.
Problem.
All the evidence.
Can't get me now.
Blaine's like the guy that they sent somebody in with a wiretap and he just told him everything. Because he was cool. Like, yeah, I killed him. With my bare hands.
I thought we were...
Right there, actually.
It's like Will Ferrell off that one movie. Yeah. I thought we were in the...
He's like...
Well, yeah, I don't have a wire. I'm not wearing a wire.
That doesn't mean you can say anything you want to say.
I said with all due respect.
I said with all due respect.
I said I'm going over the board. Great calls again today. I love getting excited on a Monday. Hold on. You want to see me make this shot in the trash can?
You're like 0 for 8.
I'll put a 5er on a miss here.
You'll put a 5er on it?
I'll put a 5er on a miss.
Literally right over there.
I already owe Blaine 20, actually. Well...
Those were a lot of
He did miss. He did miss, but then he also took 7 steps up there.
7 steps?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's an NBA range 3-pointer.
Gracious. She like Russell Westbrook.
Oh, yeah.
You owe me 5, by the way.
Yeah.
So now
you got a worse shot than
15.
Pfizer. I don't want to hear it. All right, here's what we got. I'm going to say right now, look, up 15 units on the month. I'm not going to lie. I've been hotter than a fat kid in a sumo wrestling place in a volcano lately. So that we're plus 14.8 units. College.
So many.
What did you say?
So mean to fat kids.
Huh?
So mean, man.
So mean to fat kids.
Wait a minute. This is coming from the guy that said that he bullied his fat friends, and you said you bullied him. You
Friend.
made fun of him.
Friend.
You made fun of him so much
Best
that he
friend.
went from a fat kid to a skinny
friend.
lawyer.
Best fat friend. Don't put an S on that. He was one person, and now he's somewhat jacked and he's a lawyer. So there's
He's
a certain
somewhat
thing.
jacked.
You make fun of fat kids just in general all day.
No,
on
I
the
don't.
show. Yeah, you do. Once a time. There's a fat kid
Does it call
sleeping in a
hot?
sleeping bag one time a show for sure.
No. I think I said it all.
For all the fat kids in a sleeping bag, you keep living your life. All right?
You ever seen
keep
Heavyweights?
With the Pop-Tart.
with a Pop-Tart, you keep
That's
living your
s'mores
life.
Pop-Tart, man.
All right, here's what I got. Give me Baylor money line on the road at Oklahoma State. That's -120. Then give me the Bruins Oilers over 6.5. That's at -1.25. Come on now, let's finish the month. What do you got, Cone?
You're taking Baylor tonight?
taking Baylor.
Can I say bet buds? Can I say bet buds? Because I want Baylor money line.
You can play it. You can spray it.
I
all
want
day.
Baylor money line, and then a little 2-team parlay here. Give me the North Carolina Tar Heels to beat Florida State, and I want Iowa State to win at home money line. That's -108. Blaine.
Love it. Give me, at this point, who cares? Give me the Oilers money line +122 and the Avs money line -140.
Baby Cone, 40 and 40 on the month.
Okay,
Some
okay,
moves.
okay.
He's going
Child.
Bruins money
He's a
line, which
child.
is probably a great decision, and Avs money line. So he's bet buds with Blaine. We got a double dose of bet buds here. Me and
Ace?
Jonathan with
Okay.
Baylor, and then Blanye East and Babeth Coneth with the Avs. What else we got in the booster club there?
All right, let's go to One True King. Is Crane & Co. doing a March Madness bracket?
Are we?
Are we?
Are
Of
we?
course
What?
we are.
And you're invited.
What?
Yes.
Come on, man. Y'all know this. I'm going to fill out a... Yeah, the booster is sponsored by DraftKings, too. Yeah. And we also want you to know that the board and the booster club and the bracket challenge and all the things we do with sports gambling is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. So download the app, use code BOOSTER, BOOSTER. It's like I said earlier, and I'm going to say it again. New customers can place $5 on any pregame moneyline bet and get $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. It's only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code BOOSTER. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. DraftKings, woo!
Kevin 732s and 745 says, I'm on a bit of delay. That's okay. Have you guys talked about the Brandon Miller pat down? Thoughts?
We were saving it for the end,
Yeah.
which is this perfect segue right now. Here's my thing. They have been doing it the whole year. I get that. But you have to have some sort of situational awareness.
Yep.
If you're Nate Oates or Brandon Miller. Let's go ahead and play. So hold on. Before we play this. You're involved, hadn't been charged with anything, cooperating witness, whatever you want to call it, involved in a murder in the city of Tuscaloosa. And they're letting you play. And it's a national controversy. Because if you weren't who you were, you're probably not even still on the team. And this is how you get introed into the game after talked about you helped transport a gun to a murder scene. Let's go and watch it. Allegedly. Going through it, dapping it up. And then you hit him with the MMA patent. It's just dumb. Like
He
I
knows
said,
what he's doing.
for sure.
He knows
For
what
sure
he's
they know what that. It's making a mockery of. You can say what you want. But I'm still shocked at the lack of awareness by Nate Oates in Alabama. And if you don't know what your team's doing to the intros, you'll never be Nick Saban, dog. You want to know what coaches know everything. Coaches know everything, especially coaches that have full control. That to me says is just purely stupid. I don't know another way to put it.
So, yeah, I saw a lot of people coming out saying, okay, so Brandon Miller has been doing this all season, or at least for the last month. Is this to replicate what they do for MMA fighters, or is this some sort of like pat down for a gun?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it in other sports too. It's just the pat down of it's just
to replicate what they do for UFC fighters.
Yes,
is that
basically.
what it is?
Basically.
Okay.
But still, let's just think about this. And I'm not a politically correct person, but I'm also not an idiot. All right? Brandon Miller is probably going to be the number one pick in the NBA draft. It seems like you've gotten through this to this point. If you're Brandon Miller, for the sake of my money, I'm not doing this. I'll go out, high five you. I'll give you a hug, man. You know what? I think maybe if he went down there and during the intro and maybe did something like, maybe for the family of the victim or something like that. how much of a good. But no, you're gonna go out there because it's you against the world. You're big badass. Oh, big badass. Look at me. I'm gonna get patted down. It's just dumb. Like, it's just dumb and it's unnecessary. Nate Oates, first thing he said in the press conference.
Yeah, it was. So Nate Oates came out at the post-game press conference after Alabama with another 3-point win. He came out and acknowledged this and said, this won't happen again. I'm sorry this happened. But, to Jake's point, how have you not noticed what was going on with your team?
I think I do
think there is a mentality within Alabama now that's like, circle the wagons. Everyone's just against us for no reason.
Oh, the villain mentality.
No, there's a reason.
There.
Yeah, so it's like
he's a villain now.
So does Brandon Miller need to embrace the villain role?
He's already have. He's already have.
Moving forward in his NBA career.
Well, I've watched him play. He's already have. I can see his emotions during the game. Hell, after it happened, he went and dropped 41. I mean, one, you don't have respect for yourself. One, you don't have respect for your program, and don't have respect for your coach. You come out and do that.
Yeah, here's my thing. It's one thing to be a villain because you're really, really good. It's another thing to be a villain when you talk trash. It's another thing to be a villain when you're on social media gassing people up. But becoming the villain because you're involved in a murder of a woman in downtown Tuscaloosa who's the mother of a 5-year-old, that's bigger than sports. There ain't no villain. There's none of this other stuff. That's not how you become a villain. To me, that's sick. That's what sick people do. Just like the people are sick that are Alabama fans that are defending this just because it's Alabama. I guarantee you if that was your sister or that was a member of your family that was murdered in this situation, you wouldn't be circling the wagons on this. Mm-hmm. The same people who are hoping this goes bad for Alabama because it's Alabama are sick. It's just, grow up. Grow up. Can you not look? It's a sport. It's a game. That's it. In reality, it's a game. Some of you guys are so involved, must not have anything going on in your life. You must not be contributing anything if you're going to sit here and defend this or sit here and hope something bad happens because it is Alabama. I'm as competitive as anybody in the world, man. I'm the most competitive person you'll ever meet, but I also have perspective. I also understand there's more to life than scoring a basket or watching my team win. Some of y'all are just children. You need to grow up, including Brandon Miller.
Starts with the head coach.
Yeah, including Brandon Miller and Nate. This stuff ain't funny anymore. It's one thing if your guys out there trashing people on social media or saying this guy sucks or this guy's a scumbag, like Hunter Dickinson said the guys at Wisconsin are scumbags. That's one thing to be a villain. Or shooting to the crowd during the game or something like that, Marshall Henderson style at Ole Miss. It's another thing when you're involved in a freaking murder. Some of y'all are disgusting. So, Booster Club.
Poll. Should FSU go to the SEC?
Yes. 75%.
No, 55%.
Yes, 56%.
Wow, that's tight.
No, 44%. It was pretty tight there for a minute. Let's go to Trevor Sage. $20 donation. Remember the deal, Jake. Blaine gets none of this.
Yes. Do you remember when I was talking about the guy at the gas station that I can't stand? Who's always like, what's up, Brody? I'm like, what's up, dog?
I heard y'all are friends.
Like, stay live, stay live. I'm like, all right, I'm going to try and stay alive. So I was like, I bet his name's Trevor, just joking around. And Blaine said, I bet his name's Sage. That guy's name? Read it again.
I didn't say Sage.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you.
We'll run the clip.
Trevor.
Sage?
He messaged me right after the show laughing because he said, my name's Trevor Sage.
I don't think I said Sage.
I swear you said it.
Wait, the guy at the gas station?
No.
He listened to the show?
A fan of the show. No, a fan of the show's name's Trevor Sage. And he was like, dude, I promise you, there's some
Trevor, I don't think I said
some good Trevors out there.
We'll go back. I think I said Chet. I'm pretty sure I said Chet. I'm pretty sure that's what I said.
I don't know. We'll check the tape.
I remember Sage being said on last week's show somewhere.
All right, make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you follow us on all social medias. Over 50,000 subs now on YouTube. Grab somebody. Tell them to sub. We're not talking about the new menu over there at Subway. Got a great show tomorrow. Got some great guests this week. We're rolling toward March Madness, and you know the madness never stops in college football. We appreciate you guys. And like the chances of the ACC not being broke ass, we're going.
Was bumming.
Gone.